Hello, everybody. I am yet again Price McKinney, simply put. And as always, I want to thank you for tuning in and listening. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, uh, simply put by Price McKinney. Uh, YouTube on Tuesdays, simply put podcast with your boy Price McKinney. YouTube on Tuesdays. Like, subscribe, watch a video, leave a comment. So that was a TV show a while back, years ago, and it still actually runs to this day because it was that good. It's called Martin, and he had a character. Uh, Many of you may know my personal favorite, Robbie Rowe. Right? Y'all just bear with me. Just bear with me. So one of Robbie Rowe's most famous lines was, when he would come in, he would say, "Oh, oh." I say, "Oh, oh, oh." Jerome in the house. I say, Jerome in the house. And this is the line. Watch your mouth. So I say unto you today, watch him. I can't get it out. So why am I saying this? So what had happened was, y'all just bear with me. I didn't expect this to turn out like this. I didn't. So a couple of weeks ago, because I've been out of commission, my house has been tore up. I had a water leak. So anyway, a good friend of mine called me and was in a conversation with a friend, and there was a statement that was made, and it didn't surprise or shock him, but it in my words, it grabbed him, and it was one of those what I call time delayed responses, right? So it was one of those. Wait, what did you just say? And so he thought it through, processed it, gave me a call. Uh, hey man, da 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 da. Da. And so I simply shared my view on what he shared with me, and there was another episode from another friend of mine who same similar issue around the same time frame, and people this is and I laughed and joked on the front end, but this can be really serious because what you say to your person or to the person you're involved with, words can do one or two things. Let's start with this. Words can do one or two things. It can help the person or it can hurt them. Even as kids, you have to be careful what you say to your kids because as parents, what you say to them and anybody for that matter, but in particular with your kids, they believe you because you're the authority, right? So if you're downing them and you're telling them what they can't do and what they're not gonna be, guess what's gonna happen? They're gonna grow up believing that because what you hear the most of is, and it's a biblical principle. And I don't want to go into a mini sermon on this, but this is a reality. What you hear the most is what you believe. I don't care what it is. If it should be positive. Even with what you say to yourself, you have to be careful of that because what you say, even to you, because here's the deal. There's there's a scripture that says, and I typically don't do this, but I gotta say it for this: death and life is in the power of the tongue. What you say either brings life or it can bring death. It can birth or it can kill, one of the two. And guess what? The choice is yours. It's not up to anybody else. Now, what people say to you can influence you. Trust me when I tell you that. I dealt with that for years, dealing with things that I was told, things that I believed about me because of things that were said, becoming somebody that I thought I was supposed to be because I got lost in the shuffle of other people's opinions, which is what people say, instead of taking the time out, backing up and punting and figuring out who the heck is Price Marseille McKinney. Now that I know that, it's a game changer, and what people say is, depending on what it is, it can literally be irrelevant, because I'm at the point now that I know and I have my true God given identity. I can't be shaken and I can't be moved. I've been through entirely too much hell um, to be defined by somebody else's opinion. You follow me? So be very careful. Well, I ain't gonna be walking on eggshells. You don't have to. That is, trust me, sir, ma'am, whoever. That is your choice. But do know this: you keep talking to that person like they're less than a human. You keep calling them names. You keep calling them what you believe they are and what they're not. And you keep pouring into them your poison. Two things are going to happen. They're going to exit stage left sooner than later, and you're going to be left by yourself. All because you don't want to close your freaking mouth. And this is not gender based. This goes both ways. I myself personally have been guilty of it. And that's why now, if somebody gets me to the point where I'm getting ready to go cockeyed and take a hard left, I will completely walk away, because it's better for me to maintain my character, not to uphold the image for anybody else, but it's better for me to walk away and hold my own peace versus get into a verbal combat with somebody, and the consequences wind up not being worth the effort that it takes to for that argument. It's just not worth it. And at the end of the day, what you're not gonna do is disrupt my peace. And I'm not this great grand being. I'm not saying that at all. It's just I have been through enough dealing with words from people, where this is why I'm emphasizing: be careful what you say and how you say it, because you're a lot of times people become extreme. Your person becomes extremely reactive based on the tone that you use when you're talking to them. So what you say to, for example, let's just for kicks and giggles. Hey, did you shut the refrigerator? And I tell my son this all the time. Hey, did you shut the refrigerator door? Now, if I go at him cockeyed and why you didn't shut the door? Da, 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 and I blow a fuse, I can assure you, because he's my child, he ain't gonna hear nothing I say. It's gonna go in one end out the other. And guess who's gonna be left pissed off to the highest levels of festivity? I am. Because that's, even though he's, first of all, he's grown. Secondly, even though I'm his dad, that doesn't give me a right to say whatever I'm going to say just because he's my child. He's still a human being. He still has feelings. And yes, women, just throw this in parenthetically for free. I won't even charge you for this. Men do have feelings. Now, you can call him soft. You can call him the punk. You know what I'm saying. You can call him all of that. But I can assure you, if he turns around and retaliates verbally, it ain't gonna go like you planned, ma'am. It's just not. And men, by nature, we will take. For the woman that just said, well, I take a lot too. I get it. That's not my point. Men take, and then when they blow up, you have a problem on your hands. I was that guy. I thank God I went through counseling and I understood the source of where my anger came from. Um, and I had to deal with it, because I gotten to the point where if anybody said the least little thing, I'm ready to snap. And it's just not worth it. It takes entirely too much energy. Two things you don't get back in this world, people. Two things you do not get back is words and time. Whenever you say what you say, once it comes out, you can't reel it back in. Now, just like with me with this video, I could edit if I said something I didn't need to say. I could edit that. But if I'm in an actual conversation with somebody, I cannot. So what you say has power. What you say can be extremely valuable. What you say can be extremely helpful, or what you say can be extremely harmful. It is up to you to choose. I do not recommend the harmful route because trust me when I tell you, I've been on the other end of this before. That comes back around and bites you in the behind. And when it does, it ain't nothing you can do but take it. So what you say can dictate or determine how somebody it affects how people feel. It affects how people what people think, even amongst themselves. Words have power. Please understand that. Words have power. You can say a thing and you can speak a thing and you can watch that thing come to pass. It may take some minutes. It's going to take some time. But if you put in the work behind what you say and you're not just throwing out idle words, you will see it come to pass. You will see it manifest itself into whatever it is you want that thing to become. So again, when you're involved, when you're dealing with people, when you're dealing with your person, again, I'm not saying walk on eggshells, but and to that point, that's why it is important and significant to build a foundation of friendship. To build a foundation of friendship. That's where all of that stuff gets ironed out and dealt with, is in the friendship process, because you learn how to say what you're gonna say, because everybody's got a pressure point, everybody's got a trigger, and you may not know. You may say something simple and you think it's nothing to it, and then you look up and she's in the corner crying, and you look up and he's over in the room with the door shut, swole up, and you're thinking what you said was nothing. But for them, it was everything, because that was a trigger point, and they may not have known that was a trigger point until that thing happened. That's why it is important to communicate. That's why it is important. And if you know, it's don't sit on what you feel. Have a grown adult conversation. Talk about it. Talk through it. You know, you might have to take a TV timeout, back up and punt, and come back around and sit down with that person and talk through it again. You may have to do it. There's nothing wrong with that. But don't be like I used to be, folks. Don't don't just keep taking and taking and taking and taking, and then you just out of nowhere you just blow up. And to the other person, it was seemingly nothing. But for you, because you let everything stockpile and you let everything build and build and build and build, now you're the volcano. You've self erupted. You don't have to do that. Take a time out if you have to. Talk about it, but make sure you communicate and voice what it is you feel. Even if things are good, hey, thank you for what you're doing. I appreciate how you deal with me. I appreciate how you handle me. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you taking the time to listen. I appreciate you carving out a section for me to be able to share this with you. All you got to do is talk. That's what words, talking, communicate, it's all in the same category. But just be careful, folks. You don't some of the some of the most damage that a lot of people deal with is based on what somebody has said to them, especially out of anger, because you didn't resolve something and you didn't deal with it the right way, and you don't have to go through that. If it's something there, talk about it. If it's an issue, just have a conversation. Hey, can I talk to you for a minute? Well, not right now. Okay, well, when is a good time? Just let me know. and deal with it. So be careful of what you say. Again, you don't have to walk on eggshells. You don't have to, always be sensitive and aware of, well, if I say this, he's gonna blow. If I say this, she gonna cry. No, yeah, it doesn't have to be that. If you're dealing with somebody like that, you need to find out what the issue is and really deal with that thing. But in general, let's be careful what you say. Use Choose your words wisely. Sometimes the best thing to say is absolutely no thing. Sometimes it's best just to go mute. Silence can never be misquoted. Now, don't stay that way, but sometimes in certain moments, just listen. Sometimes that's all you need to do is just listen, and that will tell you everything you need to know. So again, I'm Price McKinney. Simply put, follow me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Simply put, by your boy P Mac. Excuse me, YouTube on Tuesdays. Simply put, podcast with your boy Price McKinney. I'm not an expert. I just know what I know, and I promise you, I'll see you soon.